Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm Zoe Alex today. As you can see, there are dishes in the background, but never mind about that. But today is a beautiful day to understand what's gonna happen. Okay, I know that you've been seeing this for a long time, saying why is Zoe Alex wearing this? Because I like to keep myself warm. Okay, but the point being is that while I'm feeling all Christmassy in the mood, is that we're going to look at through one of the oracle cards that I'm going to say, the soul's journey that I'm going to look at. And not only that, is that I'll be reading a paragraph of a Bible. So keep in mind that this video will make you successful and you will enjoy about my reading when you watch this video. So in the meantime is that you will take a leap of faith and understand about what's going to happen, because we have to understand that you take things for granted, you try to do whatever you like to do, and somehow and somewhat, but the reason being is that you have to pick a side. You have to think of what's going on and what's happening and who, what, where, when, why, and how, for example. You have to look at those, for example, okay? You have to set some standards. And what I mean by standards is like if you enjoy of the opportunity, you can do this. As long as you can think about this, okay? Now, in the result of that is that well, I forgot my drink. Um, I'll be right there for 1 second. Okay? Come on, a minute. I'm just having my my coffee or something like that. What was the saying? Oh yes. So here it is that I'm going to explain. We're going to figure this out, and then we're going to do the Bible, and then we're going to do that. So if anyone has a Bible, that if you want to have it in your hands, or if you want to read with me, you can. But remember about what's going to happen. Okay, so this is going to be a very good reading, and I hope that you will enjoy this because it's a good Friday reading or something like that. So we're going to do this as long as it seems to be, and I hope that you will enjoy this as well. Okay, so keep in mind, if it resonates to you, please give it this a like, and I hope that you will enjoy this when it comes to your attention. Okay, so we're going to look at this. We're going to look at one card, and then we're going to start from there. So, in this reading, that the first card represents doubt. I release the need to know all the answers. That's a really good one, okay? We're going to recognize what doubt is. Doubt is in the Bible somewhere, but we're going to recognize who is saying it in doubt, okay? Because in my own experience is that this is how it's going to be. So just give me 1 second here while I'm recording this at the same time. I'm going to see what the Bible say. So I'm just on the internet for a second. So there are 18 verses about the word doubt, and basically there are lots. So basically, in my own experience, we're going to look at James 1:7. And we're going to look at that. Okay, so basically, while I'm getting the Bible situation, James what? James 1:7. So remember how it's going to be. Okay, so remember remember on who's saying it, because that's how it is. Like, you have to believe me through this situation here, and basically you're going to understand what's going to happen. So remember that while taking this book, uh, so if you have your Bible ready, please turn to James 1:7, and I'm going to look at that. If I can find it in here. Let's see. Uh, James is 1805 in the book, not the actual number. That would be a big, huge number. So 1805. Okay, so in this situation here, okay, so we did the, so let's see. 1805. So I just went past it. So yeah, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at James 1:7. If I can read this, basically there's lots of info here, because there's a word that is doubt, okay, and basically it's a good um huge responsible reading for this about the word means doubt. So in that note, okay, so I'll read a little bit of this situation here. It's a little bit like there's going to be a little bit of words are on the side and then whatnot. So let's get to it, shall we? So this is going to be trials and temptations. Okay, so James 1:1, but we're going to read to 1 and 7. So I'm going to read that, but we're going to keep going. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and know and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such as a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. Believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wild flower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant, its blossom falls, and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away, even while they go about their business. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he dragged dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And the sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived by my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from shifting shadows, or coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. Now basically in that chapter, that's actually a long chapter. But in that reading, we have to understand about, there's always these possibilities where, you see, let's say, for example, famous people. Famous people are believed to be very, very modest, or very mystery, or mysterious, or something like that. Because when you act like a fan to them, for example, like a viewer and something, and you like their videos or their movies or their music or their whatever they do, they will give you money, for example, because they love you so much and they have too much of it. That's what I see in my own point of view. Okay? Now, when I look at this reading, the trials and temptations, it's a very good, wise choice because God is giving someone the crown of honor. Like he will give you the crown as a as his way, say, I love you, like as a little heart thing. You have to understand that when there is a time and place for everything, you must remember that. Because in the way of me, reading this reading to you, James 1:1, you have to understand that when I read this to you, it makes sense, right? It doesn't make nonsense, it doesn't. But when I read this full chapter, it is very, very subtitled because it's very good. You have to remember that when we take signs from God in different ways, wherever we are, in retail stores or grocery stores or whatever, you know that there is a time and place for that, where you can think about what the universe is saying, and it will give it to you. Only you have to pray and then receive. So in that many aspect of it, you have to remember what I'm saying about this trial and temptations of this reading. You have to understand about that because there is a way of knowing what to do, and you have to decide about that because when I think about there's always these questions on the side here from the 1806 page here. There's always these, and basically in that temptation or trials or something, you have to embrace of that opportunity because God has kind of chosen you between the between we get like I'm in the middle. I'm between God's side, right, in one way. The other way I'm not. But in those terms, I'm like between like this. I have to balance it just right. Saying I love this one or I love this one at the same time. But in that sort of um, conclusion, this is what it seems to be. Okay, because we have to understand of what's going on here. Now, picture it that Let's see. There's 1 in 6 8. Is it a sin to doubt? That's a good question. Basically, I'll read you this one, and then that's what it says. It says, "It's not a sin to struggle with questions of who God is and what it means to belong to Him. Those are natural questions anyone seeking God will ask. Rather, James was condemning an attitude that questions whether or not God and his word can be trusted. A, a mistrustful, suspicious attitude toward God poisons our spirits, making joy impossible. Something like that. That kind of like scenes about that. But let's not stop there. There is more to it. There is like uh, what is the crown of life? It says for I think it's James 1:12. It says, drawing from the Greek custom of placing a wreath on the head of a winning athlete, James described the rewards given to believers who cross the finish line, eternal life and victory over death, something like that. And then the next one is, how are temptations different from trials? That's a good question too. Let me read this. A temptation a temptation is something that entices a person to do wrong. A trial is a situation in which God provides a person an opportunity to do right. God never tries to trip us up, but He does allow tough circumstances to build character and maturity. So, in a way of that question there, now I did stop for a minute because it makes sense. Okay, it doesn't really make sense, but it does make sense. Now, let's see. Well, it seems to be very enticing. It's very it's very different because in a way of how I'm introducing this to you, you have to enjoy of what's happening here. Like because let's then I say more. Okay, I'm just gonna stop for a minute. You have to understand how that is because when we look at trials, temptations, you know, between between good versus evil at the same time. You're trying to test yourself, right? You have to, it's like testing the universe. The universe will give you so many ways to help you along the way with life. Or it could be the universe is helping you with challenges or anything like that. You have to understand that part. But in the Bible here, from James 1:7 that I was reading, and trials and temptations, you have to understand how that is going to go. Because it is, right? Now, while I'm stopping that reading, we have like we can do like it is here, let's see. Oh my goodness. Uh, from 1807, page 1807. I'll read you what did James mean by first fruits. Let's say about that. From page 1 to 18, let's say that. The original readers were the first to trust in Jesus as their Savior, so James compared them to the first fruits of harvest. The term implies dedication of something to God in worship since the first harvest of a crop was set aside as a gift to the Lord. Now that is very peaceful. And when I think about this in a good simple reading, we have to understand that I'm kind of like understanding how that is. Because from the trials and temptations, and then from what I just read you about what did James mean by first fruits, for example, there are two different stories, you know. So it's like when I'm trying to do this, you have to believe, okay? Because it's simple as that. You have to understand that when I look between uh, James 1:1 and then James 2:21, there are two different stories here. But you know what? It doesn't stop there because when I look at the word doubt, basically doubt means I release the need to know all the answers. And that's a really like it almost looks like a good question there, but it's not. You're finding the clues. You're like finding the puzzle pieces, or you're like playing a board game of Clue, for example. You know about that game, Clue. And then you have to find, you know, it's like you're asking questions to your opponents, and then your opponents will give you answers. So it's like that's what it seems to be because between the Bible that I'm reading, that's what it is, right? Because when I look at this between one way or the other, I'm in that I'm in that situation here. Because when I read the situation to the part I just read, it does make sense. It does make sense. And that's very glorious because of how that is. So in that note, that's what it seems to be. Because you have to look at it from one way or another way or anything like that. But you must remember that when I read you this information here, it does make sense. Because when I think about this, it's like, why I'm reading this? Right? That's a good question. Like, why I'm reading this? Well, because I'm reading it to my viewers. I'm reading it to everyone who wants to read this, to watch my video. But like I say, you have to know about like reach the need to know all the answers. That's all you have to do because you're between one way, another way, you're between like this. And that's what it seems to be. So before I let you all go, you have to remember that we understand what's happening between the normal people like us to from into television or movies or different. And because God made us in different ways. How different? Well, it's like He created from man to woman, elders, um, you know, all around the world. Okay. But that's what it seems to be because when I think about this, it's very true because I'm kind of starting to feeling like you have to believe in yourself because God can choose whoever He wants to put you in the spotlight. Now, for me, for example, I would like to be in the spotlight, as in getting all the center of attention, and that's what it seems to be. But in a way of how you're trying to understand of how this is going to go, you have to enjoy of what's happening to me, for example. You know, when I make these videos for a reason, I'm trying to let all my viewers know because you're a fan of me or you like to comment on my videos, whatever. But you must remember that when I'm talking about this, that's what it seems to be, right? So when I'm thinking about this right now, feel free to watch this. Enjoy of the Friday morning reading. Enjoy of this because you have to understand that it will be perfect. And when it is, you're going to say, "Oh my goodness." So what Alex is talking about. And that's what it is, right? So remember, keep in mind that if you want to have a Bible with you, read the information when I'm talking about and you will understand. So, before I let you all go, there's only one thing that you must learn. If you want to read the trials and temptations, look at James 1 and 7. Read the whole chapter if you decide to, or you can read it with me when you like to do it. And then you can read the questions of what is the answer to you. Okay, so this will give you a way of what the Bible is telling you, and you enjoy it. So remember to do this as long as you need to, and enjoy, and have yourself a good day. See you next time.